Hi, and welcome back. We've been talking about hidden barriers, those unconscious beliefs, the societal conditioning, and limiting thoughts that run in the background of our lives. Today, we're getting real about what these barriers are actually costing you. Because here's the truth. Every time you let those invisible scripts run your life, you're paying a price, and it's higher than you might think. There is good news. Noticing these costs is your first step towards real change. So what do I mean when I even say costs? Well, let's start with your body. These hidden barriers manifest physically. Think chronic stress and tension. This can further cause things like sleep disruption. You may find it difficult to go to sleep, or you may wake up a lot during the night. Or even if you do get to sleep, it's not really restful and you wake up feeling tired, which is just horrible. Keep this up long enough and it'll lead to fatigue. And when we start to go down this path, our work, relationships, and health really suffer. How about a weakened immune system? Do you find you're constantly getting sick and that sickness persists? You can't recover as quickly. Your body's trying to send you a message. These illnesses can be things like a sore throat, a cold, or even worse. Other physical issues include things like digestive issues. Think constantly feeling bloated or blah. This can also lead to worse symptoms like IBS. How about headaches? There's so many reasons why we get headaches in the first place, but research has actually shown that stress can cause up to 70 to 80% of all headaches. When we constantly question the path we are on or blindly go through the motions feeling disengaged, our heads let us know something is wrong. The last physical issue I'll mention is muscle pain. And for me, I hold tension in my shoulders. In fact, when I wasn't living my true path and was following my conditioning, I ended up with 2 frozen shoulders about 1 year apart from each other. This only further exacerbated my disconnected feeling because I couldn't exercise. Normal daily activities like putting on a t-shirt were really difficult. And I would find my mental health was suffering as a result of this. So there's so many more physical costs of following someone else's path. These are just a few. Also, think about how interconnected all of these costs truly are. How often do you feel exhausted from trying to meet everyone's expectations? How many nights have you lost sleep worrying about not being enough? This then becomes a snowball effect because we've stayed up worrying, we're tired the next day, we're not as engaged at work as we would like to be. We may even be a little short with people. It's like a never-ending cycle. Then there are the psychological costs. The mental toll is equally as devastating as the physical, and sometimes more so because we're carrying the psychological cost with us all the time. First, there is the anxiety about breaking from normal. Canadian scientific philosopher Ian Hacking once stated that what is normal is not just how we are, but how we ought to be. Basically, think about the term normal as just another social construct or a should. There is no such thing as normal. Yet the anxiety of constantly trying to fit neatly into a box that society tells us we should fit into is real. Next, there is the depression from living inauthentically. This is exactly what I mean when I say you're going through the motions but living someone else's life. You feel numb, and many days you may not even want to do the things you need to do. You may not even feel like getting out of bed. The anxiety and depression can lead to decision paralysis. How do you move forward when you feel like you're walking through quicksand daily? Which decision is the right decision? What would others do in my situation? What should I do? What's expected of me? The self-doubt is constant. This pattern can then lead to mental exhaustion, reduced creativity, and impaired focus. Remember that vicious cycle we mentioned around the physical toll that conditioning and limiting belief costs you? Well, it's exactly the same with the psychological costs. One thing leads to the next, leads to the next, leads to the next. your brain is constantly running two programs: who you really are and who you think you should be. And that cognitive dissonance, it's exhausting. In addition to physical and psychological costs, there is also an emotional price tag. This includes things like a disconnection from authentic feelings, relationship struggles, fear of judgment if we are our true selves, guilt and shame, which can lead to the what ifs. What if I'm wrong and what if they're right? What if this is just how life is? This can further lead to emotional numbness, reduced joy, and satisfaction, and even difficulty with intimacy. When was the last time you felt truly, completely yourself with another person? Plus, many of these emotional costs are the result of the physical costs. Lack of sleep can cause emotional numbness, a feeling of disconnection, anxiety, and shame. Again, it's this constant loop. A category of costs that isn't always talked about when it comes to our hidden mental barriers are financial costs. Yes, these barriers hit your wallet too, not just your body. Think about it. You will run into career limitations from playing small, as well as potentially lost opportunities due to the fear that you may have. These can reduce your earning potential. Also think about the very real cost of healthcare spend from stress-related issues. All of the items we've discussed so far can and often do lead us right to the doctor's office or emergency room. There is another side to the financial cost as well. The money spent trying to fit in. The old saying of keeping up with the Joneses is alive and well in this world. If the neighbors bought a brand new luxury car, then I must need to buy one to keep up appearances and fit in. If my friends bought the latest and greatest tech gadget, I'm going to go out and buy one too because I should. We end up gathering all of this stuff that we simply don't need or even really want. One area I see this with clients is impulsive spending to feel better. They feel disconnected, disengaged, or depressed and are going through the motions of life we've been talking about. They are doing all the right things, saying what they're supposed to say, but they feel hollow inside. In order to make themselves feel better, they spend impulsively and constantly. I've known people who scroll Instagram and end up buying item after item they don't need and have actually never used. The options for online spending are endless these days. We try to fill that void with stuff. These costs that we've talked about so far, physical, psychological, emotional, and financial, are serious. They affect every single aspect of our lives. Understanding these costs really matter. And while these are broad overarching categories, how they show up for each of us is different. However, I can guarantee that they do show up. Here's why building the awareness and understanding what living life on autopilot is costing you is so crucial. First and most importantly, you can't change what you don't acknowledge. By simply becoming aware of the costs, we are better able to see patterns and make meaning of our behaviors. Second, awareness helps break the unconscious cycle. Many of our behaviors are at the subconscious or unconscious level. By becoming aware of our patterns, we can make these behaviors conscious. For example, take that new gadget or purse you just bought. It's easy to say that you like to keep up with the trends and you thought the gadget was cool or the purse was beautiful. But if I were to ask you, and I mean really ask you, why did you purchase these items in the first place? And I want you to dig deep. You may find a different answer. That new gadget may be something you don't need and don't really want. You're not going to use it anyway, but when you get asked if you've seen it, you can say, nope, I own it. And as for that new bag, you have hundreds of purses, but think of the compliments you're going to get on this new one. You really bought these things for other people and not for yourself. Next, understanding the cost of our hidden barriers creates motivation for change. Did the new gadget or purse really make you that happy? Maybe for a minute. But once that dopamine high wore off, you probably still felt hollow inside like you did before. Seeing the costs really helps validate our desire for transformation. It's not sustainable to always buy the new gadget or purse. And even if it was, how many gadgets and purses are really necessary? Plus, when you start to add up the dollars you've spent, think of everything you may have been able to do if you were just more conscious about the motivations behind your behavior. Remember, noticing is the first step. When you begin to see how these barriers are impacting your life, again, physically, emotionally, mentally, and financially, you create an opening for change. It's like turning on a light in a dark room. Suddenly you can see what you need to see, and you can see what needs to be addressed. Noticing these costs is a moment of power. It's you choosing consciousness over autopilot. So here's your call to action. This week, I challenge you to become a cost detective in your own life. Notice when your hidden barriers are charging you physically, emotionally, mentally, or financially, and just write them down. Think of this like a bank. There are credits and there are debits. All of these costs are debits. They are taking something away from you every time they come up. Sometimes these are small debits and other times they're large. But it's important to remember that over time, even those small debits add up and you start feeling like a stranger living someone else's life. To hold yourself accountable, share one cost you've noticed and share it in the comments below. And remember, awareness is the first step to freedom. Don't forget to join our community of conscious, authentic change makers. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next week when we'll dive deeper into the weight of resistance and how fighting your authentic self is really draining your life force. See you then.